Now, as more and more information starts to come out about the three friends, the three men who froze in the backyard of their friend Jordan Willis's home after watching the Kansas City Chiefs play, no correction, after they watched Jeopardy, no correction, after they played video games, we start to see a more clearer picture as to what may have happened that night. But again, I do have to remind everybody that dead men do not tell tales. There are a lot of theories as to what may have happened that night, ranging anywhere from aliens to narcotics to a ritualistic sacrifice to maybe even a experiment with the jab. There were still a lot of theories. But what it looks like is that this is going to turn out to be drug related to narcotics. We have allegedly, Jordan Willis going into rehab. And why I say supposedly and allegedly is because this cannot be verified. We had a friend come out and state that Jordan Willis is indeed going to rehab because he wants to kick an addiction. This experience changed his life. We have the police saying we can't verify any of this information, but of course they can't verify this information because going to rehab is still protected by HIPAA. But the best thing for him is to indeed go to rehab. If he really does have some kind of addiction, like I said, the best thing is to go to rehab, but also this helps to build that narrative that this was indeed drug related. This New York Post article is calling Clayton McGeeney a Chiefs fan. It's just so weird to label him as the Chiefs fan. Just call him Clayton McGeeney. Yes, he may have been a fan of the Chiefs, but this man also has a real name. If anything happens to me, I hope people do not refer to me as the fan of airplanes, the fan of Tiffany G. But anyway, this article states that cousin of Chiefs fan found frozen in pal's yard claims homeowner Jordan Willis was dubbed the chemist, that Jordan gave these men something that their bodies couldn't handle. Maybe Jordan took the same thing and he was able to tolerate it more because maybe he was taking it over time, but maybe they took something that was far too powerful for them. There was a wrong prescription, something along those lines. But this is what this cousin is alluding to. And I'm going to go ahead and play a clip of him speaking.
A lot of times I'm hearing that David, Clayton, and Ricky were like brothers. Jordan was kind of off on the side. Mm-hmm. True?
Jordan's a chemist, bro.
Jordan's what?
Jordan's a chemist. They all knew him as that. It was easy for them to go have fun, but he fucked up. He made a mistake. Jordan was the chemist. He's a scientist, right? He does what he needs to do. Now, to use my cousin, my best friend, as a guinea pig? No.
What about Alex Lee? What do you know about him?
I know him.
Yeah? Any idea that he might have brought drugs?
Hell no.
No?
Jordan had him. Jordan was one.
So you don't think any more attention should be paid on Alex Lee?
Alex Lee is a good man. He's a good man. Alex Lee is a solid. He was one of their best friends forever. Jordan is somebody that is known from high school as like creating drugs for people to make them feel better in certain situations. Okay, well, you want to do this? Okay, I'm gonna make this for you. I'm gonna make this for you. I'm gonna make this for you, and handing them out. Hmm. The police are doing their job. If it takes time, it takes time. I will never tell them they're not doing what they should be doing. They're doing the best they can. It takes time because you want it to be correct at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And that's what I hope, is when at the end of the day it comes out correct.
Now, while Jordan Willis is indeed a scientist, he's an HIV scientist, what TMZ, of all people, dug up about the men that froze is that Jordan Willis is not the only one that's connected to narcotics. Two of the men that froze are also connected to drugs. Like I said, it's very important to note that dead men do not tell tales, but this is what TMZ is reporting. So again, January 31st, new information comes out, yet TMZ, among other news agencies, still refer to these men as Chiefs fans. Now, I put Chiefs fans in my YouTube title because it helps the algorithm find the video when somebody is searching for these men. But it's just very bizarre that these agencies still refer to these men as Chiefs fans, these very popular agencies. But these Chiefs fans, mystery death case, watch party host heading to rehab. The deceased have drug ties. Now, Clayton McGeeney's cousin said in the interview that Jordan is known as the chemist because he's a scientist. But come to find out, his cousin Clayton McGeeney has a closer connection to narcotics. TMZ has learned that one of the men, Clayton, had a connection to pharmaceuticals, which might shed some light. They have uncovered that McGeeney had an active pharmacist license which was issued last year and set to expire at the end of May 2024. TMZ states that they don't know if he was working at any pharmacy in particular or practicing pharmacology in any way at the time of his death. They do know that the license would allow him to work as a pharmacy technician if he so desired. Now, that's a rather big reveal because all this time it was Jordan who was known as the chemist because Jordan was the scientist. But come to find out, we may have another scientist in this story. Now, if Clayton McGeeney is indeed a pharmacist, then I would definitely call him a scientist. Now, I know some people are going to say, man, it's a horror, you're so stupid. They're definitely not scientists, but they're scientists in my book. Close to one anyway, if they're not. Now, if he was working as just a pharmacy technician and he wasn't an actual pharmacist, he was still working rather closely to drugs. Now, when it comes to this case, for weeks, there was a strong rumor that drugs were involved, that this was drug related. Even the families had said so. The families come out and they state that, no, these men are not addicts. They have no connection to drugs. But you would think one of the family members would have said, well, Clayton McGeeney, he was working closer to drugs. He was a pharmacy technician or he was a pharmacist. But weeks later, this information comes out as soon as Jordan goes to rehab. Very, very weird. But guess what? TMZ actually dug up another interesting fact about another one of the men, David Harrington. David Harrington, another one of the men who passed away, was arrested back in Colorado in 2011 for possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, although it seems he ended up with just a year probation and paying some fine. But guess what? Guess what a Schedule II narcotic is in Colorado? In Colorado, it includes opiates such as oxycodone and fentanyl, among other similar narcotics. Isn't that just a coincidence? On the face of things, some of these facts appear to line up with what police have maintained since the beginning, namely that there's no evidence of foul play, and that for now, they don't suspect homicide either, though the investigation still remains ongoing. So now we have a picture that's painted that is not so much Jordan Willis is the scientist, it's not so much Jordan Willis that was involved in these drugs, that he's the one with the problem. He was the one that was getting the drugs. It sounds like they're trying to say that it was one of the men who are deceased that were involved with drugs, and they may have been the ones passing the drugs out, and this is how the night unfolded. And look, it very well may have been that way. It may have been one of the deceased that were passing out these drugs. They took it, they overdosed, they went outside, they got high, maybe they did overdose. They gave it to Jordan as well. Jordan took it, he lay down on the couch. He passed out for 2 days. He was the only one to survive because he was in a heated living room. But these men, who they are saying were closer than they were to Jordan, went outside, they took the drug, they overdosed, and they froze. That's very well how it could have happened. So at the end of the day, anything else just leads down the road to speculation. Really hate the word speculation because it's more of a courtroom term. The public are free to talk. We do have our freedom of speech. We can talk about oddities that are found in the news. So when somebody hits me with, that's just speculation. Excuse me, we're not in a courtroom. But anyway, I digress. It looks like they're trying to take away the fact that it was Jordan that's involved in the creation of these drugs, if indeed narcotics were involved, because we still don't know that 100%. But if narcotics were involved, it looks like what they're saying is it wasn't Jordan. There are also other men there that have a connection to drugs, whether it's a substance, an illegal substance, or somebody working in the pharmaceutical world. At the time of making this video, it looks like TMZ has released another article that was just updated about 30 minutes ago. The deceased Kansas City Chiefs fans, once again referring them to Kansas City Chiefs fans, early toxicology report indicates cocaine and fentanyl were in their systems. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ early toxicology results from this investigation suggest traces of cocaine and fentanyl were found in the deceased's systems. A full toxicology report has yet to be released, but for now, we're told these are substances that cops have detected early on, and there may be others that surface when the official results come out. So here's my question. Jordan says he was asleep for 2 days. That would assume that maybe Jordan also took one of these substances. Was he given a drug test? Were any substances found in his possession? I mean, this is his home. Last I remember that fentanyl and cocaine were illegal. So if this is what the police suspected all along, this is why they did not suspect foul play. Again, why didn't they give Jordan a drug test given the fact that he's going with the excuse, well, I was asleep for 2 days. We took drugs. Some of them overdosed. I took it and I was asleep for 2 days. Give the man a drug test. If I'm one of the family members of the deceased, yes, it looks like we have an answer here. But I would also do my own independent toxicology study. In my own humble opinion, there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion. Even more so that originally police stated that they did not suspect drugs were at play here, but yet they did not suspect any foul play. So yeah, there's nothing wrong, like I said, with getting a second opinion. So this is coming from the attorney of one of the families of the deceased. The attorney is stating that early signs all point to this being narcotics related. TMZ happened to speak to Tony Kage, a lawyer who's been hired by the mother of Clayton McGeeney. The lawyer states that autopsies are complete and early toxicology tests have been run. And while he doesn't reveal the exact results, he does not say he's privy to the fact that there may or may be substances that were discovered in their bodies. TMZ pushed the lawyer to tell them what he knew, and he was still being careful with what he said and how he said it, but they said you can read between the lines and figure out what's what. Basically, the lawyer acknowledges that drugs may have played a part in the deaths of the 3 men, but there are still questions that need to be answered, including how any substances may have gotten into their system, and what exactly played out over the course of 2 days. What is up with these lawyers in this case? You have Jordan Willis's lawyer giving conflicting information every time he speaks, and then you have this lawyer right here giving information to TMZ that I'm sure the family has not agreed to. But they say that they pushed the lawyer into releasing this information. What did TMZ do to have this lawyer talk? Did they threaten to beat him up? Did they give him a wedgie to allude to the fact that these men took narcotics and this is why they passed away? Yes, most of the people in the public already knew this information, but the lawyer should not be pretty much confirming this information just yet. The lawyer continues to state that he believes the autopsy toxicology results will be released soon, even as early as Thursday, which will hopefully shed some light on this tragedy. In the meantime, his client has asked for privacy. Now, doing what TMZ does best, now that they have this scoop from this lawyer, they go ahead and reach out to the Kansas City Police Department, and they told TMZ that they were not aware of any toxicology results coming out anytime soon, and simply said the case remains under investigation. If anybody should be a lawyer in this case, it should be the Kansas City Police Department, because they're the only ones who are not talking one bit. Where are these people finding these lawyers? Are they finding them from The View? But with everything we have learned so far, it looks like it is going to turn out that this was drug related. And they just might push it off on one of the deceased, that one of the deceased were passing out the drugs, and it turns out that they were laced. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.